Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. This is Living to Learn. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this video. And I hope that you'll be able to take something away from what I discuss on here today. The idea behind these videos, behind this channel, is to provide content, to provide information, to provide my thoughts in hopes that the things I'm sharing are going to be valuable to some of you. Something that you'll take away, something you'll be able to think on, or perhaps I will say something that is different, not in the way of the subject or what I'm discussing, because I don't think anything that I'm discussing on here is original, other than my perspective and my quote unquote spin on it. But before we get started, I do want to remind you, if you go into the description of the video, you will find my TikTok and Instagram handle at Live to Learn Coaching. You can follow me there for more content. You can also reach out to me there directly if you have any questions or you just want to say hi. Also, in the description of the video, you'll find 3 opportunities to invest financially in this channel. No, it does not cost money for you to be a part of my channel. Yes, the financial investments do help me continue to make content on a more consistent basis. So for those of you who have already invested in this channel financially, that speaks volumes about your support and your belief in me and what I'm trying to do here at Living to Learn. So I want to say thank you for that. And if you can't do that, that's fine. If you would subscribe, if you would hit the thumbs up button, if you would share my videos, if you would leave me a comment, a suggestion, even some constructive criticism, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. But what are we talking about today? So I kind of want to backtrack a little bit on something that I've talked about in the past. I've made several videos on this channel. I hope you'll go through and check them all out. See if there's one that maybe you missed that you didn't know was there, and maybe it would be particularly helpful to you in this situation. It's funny, right? Sometimes we'll come across something that either we've heard before, or it's been a long time, or we just happen to miss it. But when we stumble upon it, it's like, wow, like I can't believe how accurate this is for my current situation. It's just one of those things, right? As human beings, that we just kind of like, I don't know, it's like an encouraging feeling almost when you come across something like that. So maybe one of my old videos would do that for you. But I talked about this before. In fact, I'll share the illustration, the story that I shared the last time, because it has to do with what I'm talking about today. Now, I spent some time in New Mexico, living in a small mountain town, literally a village. It's Chama, New Mexico, northern New Mexico. I lived out there for a short time, worked there, met some amazing, wonderful people that I'm still friends with. This was years ago. This was before I was married, before I became a dad. This was a long time ago. But there were a couple of things that happened while I was there that really changed the trajectory, the direction of my life and where I was headed. And instrumental in this was my uncle, Rolando. He was like a mentor to me during this time. He was there for me. He helped me out a lot. And I'll always be grateful for that. But one of the things that he was trying to teach me while I was there, right? While I was under his mentorship, right? It was in a time in my life where there was a lot going on. There was a lot of things I was dealing with mentally, emotionally, and I had the opportunity to step away, to leave all the busyness and craziness of, living in Southern California, to this quiet mountain town. And it was just different, right? It's a different feel. If you've ever, if you grew up in the city, if you've grown up in the suburbs, if you've grown up in a metropolitan area, and then you go to some place that's kind of secluded up in the mountains, it's different, right? It's a totally different vibe. It's a totally different pace and way of life. But at this particular time in my life, I needed this. And so I spent some time with him. And there was one particular thing that he was teaching me. And I was reminded this yesterday when I was playing with my son. So while I was staying in his home, so I stayed with him and my aunt for a while. And I actually spent the majority of my time renting a room at at the hotel there in town. And well, while I was there, he was kind of, I don't want to say he was on me, but he was on me about certain things. And one of the things was, there's one restroom in the house, right? Make sure you put the lid down, right? You put the seat down when you're done. And it's just one of those things that's kind of like a common courtesy. And I wasn't doing it, not out of disrespect or not out of spite. I just wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to that. And it's funny because he would always say, hey, come here. Like he'd catch me off guard. He'd be like, hey, I want to show you something real quick. And I'd be like, what's up? Get up. And he'd be like, check this out. And he'd point. And I'd say, because as soon as I saw that toilet seat still up, I knew what he was talking about. And he says, you forgot. And I said, yeah, you're right. So I'd go do it. And then he would tell me, nephew, it's the little things. The little things that matter. And at the time, I kind of understood what he was talking about. Years later, now I really understand what he was talking about and what he was getting at. Those small things that seem or could quite possibly appear to be insignificant are actually very important. So yesterday, as I'm playing with my youngest son, and he's got his action figures out, and in his mind, he's playing everything out, right? He knows everyone's role. He knows what they're supposed to be doing. He knows what's happening in this situation. And I'm just observing. And, living in the society that we live in, we're busy people. We're always thinking of the next thing to do, or what do I have to do, or what else should I be doing right now? Which is funny, right? Because most of the time, it's something that's really not necessary. Scrolling on the phone or doing something that's just not beneficial. It's just kind of a time-consuming activity. Not to say it always is. But my mind's racing. I've got a bunch of things going through my mind, and I'm sitting here watching this little boy play with his toys. Doesn't seem to be the most important thing in the world at this moment. We've got bills, we've got situations, we've got a future to plan. We've got things that we want to do. For myself, part of this channel is my future for them, setting ourselves up. Something that I want to do. I want something to come about from this. And so these things are understandable, but here I am, I'm in the moment, I'm sitting down, and we're playing. Actually, he's playing. I'm just there to watch. And I'm reminded of my uncle's words. It's the little things, nephew. And as soon as I'm reminded of that, right, it's like this this whisper. Which is kind of makes sense that it's a whisper, right? Because we're talking about things that are small, that are seemingly insignificant, that are actually very important. Such as that reminder. Just a whisper. In this roar of thoughts and activity going on in my mind, it's just a whisper. And it's my uncle. It's the little things, nephew. Now the light bulb goes off in my mind, goes off in my head. Like the little illustration, little light bulb. Being here, being present with this little boy is the most important thing right now. And we can peel back all the layers on this. It's the time I'm never going to get back. He'll never be this young again. It won't always be this way. So on and so forth, right? You get the idea. I think we all have moments like this from time to time, but it reminded me. It grounded me. And I think that's important as well. We need to be grounded sometimes. We need to kind of take a step back and be reminded, how important these things are. And if I need any further reminder, just look at my older son, who was once that little boy. Still my son, still a young kid, but older. Doesn't need dad hovering around him anymore as much as he used to. So these are fleeting moments. And I had a lesson yesterday, and I was reminded of the importance of these things. Although they seem insignificant and small in the vast and this mounting, because there's a lot going on, right? We've got bills to pay, we've got things to plan, we've got a future to think about, we've got to worry about this, we've got to stress about that. However, I was reminded of something very important. And this is really what I hope to do for others, what was done for me. Plant those seeds, plant those gems, those things that at the moment you may not completely understand, but who knows, sometime later, 5, 10, 15 years later, you might dig that up again, you might find it. It might come back to you as a whisper. And you're reminded, oh yes, oh that's right. That's right. This is not insignificant. This is in fact very important. And I must treat it as such. And I'll tell you what, when these moments happen for me, and they don't always happen, but when they do, I'm relieved. Because now I get to quiet that whirlwind of activity and thoughts and worry and whatever else comes with this adult life. I'm able to calm it down, sit back and really just appreciate being in the moment. And I hope that you'll have that experience as well. So those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks for taking the time. Because you've got a lot of options on YouTube. You've got a lot of options out there. So the fact that you would give me some of your time means a lot to me. And I want you to understand something, that where I come from in these videos on this channel, it's from the mind, it's from the heart, it's from a place of authenticity where I can be genuine. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.